Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. Today I have a new album review by Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. So the album is called Dream Widow. It's a heavy metal album based on a fictional band from their Studio 666 movie. It was released March 25th, 2022. So in this video I'll give a little background on the album. I'll talk about the movie a little bit, talk about the songs, I'll give my final thoughts, my final score, and that will be it. So I was actually not expecting to review this album this weekend. I didn't really hear any news of it being released today. I mean, I knew the movie was out and I knew there was going to be some type of soundtrack, but that's all I knew. But I am a big fan of Dave. I'm a big fan of the Foo Fighters. So I actually moved this review to the top of my priority list for this weekend. And it's basically Dave Grohl doing an extreme metal album. So this is not the first time that Dave recorded a metal album. He recorded a metal album back in 2004 called Probot. Now that was more of a heavy metal and thrash metal album. They were based on some instrumental recordings that Dave had in his studio. The album featured many metal musicians like Lemmy, King Diamond, and Max Cavalera. Fast forward 2022. So the Foo Fighters make a horror movie. Dave makes a metal album. But this time it's more focused on extreme metal subgenres. So we get some black metal, some grindcore, some doom metal, some post metal, and a lot of other stuff. The overall tone of the album is very evil, in line with the tone of the movie, that Studio 666 movie. Some of the songs sound like a completely different band, while others do kind of sound like the Foo Fighters and just playing really heavy music, and I'll get to that when I get to it. With that being said, I'll talk about the songs. There are only 8 songs. It has a runtime of 42 minutes. Now, I have heard this being called an EP in maybe one of the other reviews I read online. But it is pretty much the length of an album. So the first song is called Encino. Now, the name Encino is based on Encino, California, where the movie takes place. This is just straight out of the gate, fast-paced, grindcore mixed with black metal. It's a short song at 1 minute and 39 seconds. It doesn't really sound anything like Dave or the Foo Fighters, but they do seem to do the style very well, just as well as any other black or grindcore band. Then there's Cold. This is more of a classic heavy metal mixed with doom, something more early Black Sabbath or something like Candlemass. Song with some dark and heavy riffs. Dave's vocals sound very evil. This is the perfect song for a horror movie. Songs are really slow and chunky riffs, and at the same time it's very catchy and memorable song. Then March of the Insane. This was actually the first single. The song is very fast. It's I guess I can call it heavy blackened thrash metal. I mean, that's kind of the subgenre that comes to mind. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it does have lots of heavy riffs and blast beats. The vocals are harsh and aggressive. They don't sound anything like Dave. So it was the perfect lead single. Kind of gets people ready for the album. Just releasing a very heavy song just to get people motivated. And the song features really soaring metal solo. So really great song. Then The Sweet Abyss. Now the opening riff kind of reminded me a little of that modern Metallica, but the vocals were very different, very heavy and dark. The song goes through some tempo changes. It starts off fast. The verse section is slower and more atmospheric. The vocals, they mix in that clean vocals with the aggressive vocals. The song has some melody in it. Kind of makes it a very memorable song. But it's very heavy. It's very dark, and it is it keeps with the tone of the album. Then Angel with Severed Wings. So this song is a little more melodic. It has more of a classic heavy metal sound, kind of mixed with some of that early black metal, Venom or something like that. It still has that evil tone, but at the same time, it's actually the most Foo Fighters sounding song on the album. It's kind of the band decided to play a Foo Fighters song, but a really heavy and dark song for that band. Next is Come All Ye Unfaithful. Now for starters, I think the song title reminds me something Ghost would have as a song title. The song is just classic heavy metal. Now the band that came to mind listening to this was Motorhead, just straightforward heavy metal with those chugging guitars and a fast beat, but also kind of has that black metal, so maybe the band Midnight, something like that. But the tone is very dark and evil. But there's also like some groove metal, maybe hear like a little Pantera influence here and there, and some of that classic black metal like Merciful Fate. So really good song here. Now the last two songs on the album are the longest. So this song is called Becoming. Clocks in at 7 minutes 21 seconds. Starts with a slow and haunting guitar riff. You do hear some like demonic voices in the background, and it reminds me of like those like post-metal bands like Cult of Luna. Very slow, dark, heavy, with some evil sounding screams. You know, after like 2.5 minutes, you hear it goes into that like sludge metal territory. Plays like a really heavy riff, kind of remind me of like Crowbar. The song eventually picks up the pace, kind of continues with those sludgy riffs and those dark vocals. The song also has a section of people like kind of sound like people being tortured, but you know, kind of continues with those sludgy riffs. Last song is called Lacrimus de Ebrius. Now I put this into the Google Translate and it came out "The Drunkard Weeps for God" or something like that. The final song, the longest song, 10 minutes 21 seconds. So we get the slow building intro. Starts out like Funeral Doom, very slow and heavy. The riff has some like deep string bends, kind of gives it like this like haunting tone. After about 2 minutes, kind of picks up the pace with some like straightforward doom metal, maybe like classic Black Sabbath with some chunky palm muted riffs. Then the song eventually gets really fast, goes into this really heavy, fast like grindcore type of sound with heavy riffs and the blast beats. Then there's like a slower acoustic part that comes in around 7 minutes, and then you know they kind of like close out the song, you know, going into the end. The song is an instrumental, so it's basically a mix of all genres, kind of like compressed into like a 10-minute song. In conclusion, this is definitely the best metal album released by a non-metal band or artist. It was very good. They do it very well, probably better than many bands that do dedicate themselves to like these specific subgenres. I enjoyed this album. You know, I'm not a big fan of like you know, some of these subgenres like maybe black metal or funeral doom, but the album does a very good job. They're kind of like different. They mix it up enough, but at the same time, they keep the same like dark tone. You know, the tone that they're like intended the album to have, and you know, not many bands can do that. You know, without sounding repetitive. So for that reason, I give this a 9 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Up next, new album reviews. We got some black metal with Abath, alternative rock Placebo, more black metal Covain, and a collab video with a chill dude on the couch. We're doing our top 10 songs by Ghost. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe, check out some of the other videos. I'll stick them over there right there, and see you in the next one.